Hi, this is Eric from longboxreview.com, and this is The Gutters, my audio journal. And welcome to 2022, I guess. I actually was not going to record a Gutters episode. Usually I do one for the events in my life for the end of the previous year. And I had decided I wasn't going to do it. Because of some stuff that happened at the end of the year. I just didn't feel up to it. But, time has passed. Things are better. And so I decided to go ahead and do it. But I cut out a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to talk about some of the stuff that I had accumulated over that time, so as not to bore you. And plus, I just didn't feel like talking about some of these things. But I thought some of these items on my list might be of interest to you. And I don't know about the stuff I'm going to talk about next, but if it's going to be of interest, but here we go. What's going on in my life? What happened? So I'll start off with this. I f***ing hate December. I hate it. I hate it with a passion now. In 1993, my mom died the day before my birthday. And then in 2010, my sister died a week before my mother, the anniversary date of my mother's death. So 2 deaths in the family in the month of December. And now something happened this last December, 2021. I won't go into detail as far as that event goes, but it was a pretty... traumatic might be too strong of a word, but it was definitely eventful. Having to do with family. I don't know what else to. Sorry for the vagueness, but I can't talk about this. But suffice to say, it caused a lot of stress, not just for myself, but for my immediate family members. Anyway, it has changed our family. Yeah. So, that's just another reason why I hate December now more than I ever did. However, to be fair, December is also Christmas time, spending time with family, which was very weird this year because of the event, as I'm referring to it. To myself anyway. And it's also the birth date of my grandson Hudson. So at least with those two things, it kind of pushes back against how much I f***ing hate December now. So yeah, anyway. Along with that, recently, I guess this happened in January 2022. So, to me, it's all just kind of floating through from the beginning of December through now, which is, as I record this is, January 16th. So a month and a half now, about a month and a half has passed. But anyway, shortly after New Year's, I got word from one of my employees that they had tested positive for COVID. And I had just been talking with them just a few days before. Yes. So that was fun. That was very interesting. That's the closest I have come to being around someone who had tested positive. I have not tested positive for COVID. And fortunately, other people in my department did not as well. So that's good. It's a very good thing. But it does highlight the potential for this Omicron variant for exposure. So, be careful out there. I'm double masking now, and whenever I go out, and trying to stay home as much as possible. And then also just finally, from a personal standpoint, things going on. This just happened yesterday, so it's fortuitous that I decided to record this today. Madison, who is 16 years old as of November 30th last year, we took her dress shopping yesterday. This is her first semi-formal dance that's coming up. Not a school event, it says in the in the permission form, but yet it involves the school. It's very strange. I'm sure it has to do with liability. But anyway, it was a very curious thing for me because, I've done this before with my daughter Brittany, getting to that age where, going to dances and getting these beautiful dresses and, trying on these dresses and just seeing what a beautiful young woman or women, I should say, that they became, first Brittany and now Madison. And it's for those of you who are fathers, this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Fathers with daughters, I mean, because she comes out in this beautiful dress. I'm like, no, absolutely not. You cannot wear that. But she was gorgeous. We actually had quite a few dresses from Brittany that we had saved for the girls, but now Madison tried those on, and then we went dress shopping. I guess I skewed up the timeline there, but anyway, so she tried on a bunch of Brittany's dresses first, and that's where I was having that initial reaction of nope, you can't wear that one. But she was beautiful in all of them. So it was just this weird deja vu where I'm seeing my granddaughter Madison trying on the dresses that we got for my daughter Brittany, and they both look beautiful in those dresses. But then we went to a dress shop, and actually Madison found a beautiful. I think the person at the dress shop said it was a plum colored dress. I thought it was just a deep purple. Madison kind of looks like a lacy grape in it, and I probably should not tell her that. But anyway, it looked beautiful on her. And so then we came back and had her try it on so she could show Brittany. So it's a wonderfully strange event in my life, and just seeing Madison grow up. Because she came to live with us when she was 13 months old. I think I've talked about this before on a previous The Gutters episode. But she is my second daughter after Brittany. And, it's wonderful to watch her grow up and seeing really the similarities between her and Brittany, because they're very much alike. And so it's been nice to experience that again. And how often do you get to do that? When you have kids young, like my wife and I did, and they grow up, and you're still in your 30s and 40s, and you get this other opportunity to take in a couple grandchildren and raise them essentially as your daughters. And now Madison is nearly 18. Oh, and the other thing is, we finally got her enrolled in driver's education. And so she will be soon learning to drive. And I get to do that again too. Teach her how to drive, the stick shift that I still have, my old car that I've been keeping around specifically for that, so that she could, have that as her vehicle. So we'll get to do that here in the next probably a few months from now. So that'll be fun. So I get to redo these things. It's like, how often do you get the opportunity to redo those kind of things with kids, with your kids? So I am very appreciative of that, despite the fact that I still hate December. Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of Maddie, I'll move on to the pop culture part of the Gutters episode, because Madison really wanted to rewatch some, but finish the Harry Potter movie series. And so we did that during the month of November and December, over that time span. And so, and then that culminated in watching, after New Year's arrived, watching the 20th anniversary reunion special for the Harry Potter actors and directors and whatnot that aired on HBO Max. And so, yeah, I think we ended up watching the last two Harry Potter films on New Year's Day, I believe. Maybe it was the day after. And then we watched the special. But yeah, we watched the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2 in the same day. Boy, I've had enough of Harry Potter. But I will say that that 20th anniversary reunion special was really interesting to see not just how the actors look, but also their outlook on and looking back on their experience doing Harry Potter from 20 years previous and on, and what the difficulties they encountered and their relationships and go watch it if you're interested in that kind of stuff, or just a fan of Harry Potter the Harry Potter films, generally speaking. But, one of the revelations in there was how much Emma Watson, her friendship that she had with the actor who played Malfoy, which I would, that's interesting to me because he's quote unquote the bad guy in many of the films, or at least not the bad guy, but the bully, the bad kid kind of situation. So that was interesting. And some other movies that we watched Black Widow when that finally arrived on Disney Plus, and I will say, I enjoyed it. It was okay. Much like the Marvel movies. As of this recording, The Eternals is now available, and so we'll be watching that soon. So I might be talking about that in a future The Gutters episode. My wife and I also watched Dune, the 2021 version of Dune. I'm a big fan of the David Lynch, what was it, 1984, 86, 80, whatever the 1980s version of Dune was. And so I was really looking forward to watching this Dune. And oh my God, what a beautiful looking film. There's not a whole lot in terms of plot going on in that first movie, and not really a whole lot of action, so to speak. But wow, what a realized world on film. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. So if you want to immerse yourself into a created world, go watch this movie. I'm so looking forward to seeing the second film that they fortunately greenlit. It was a very bizarre situation where they made the movie. They should have made both at the same time, but they didn't, and I guess needed to get the results of the film. The monetary results in order to green light the second film. And how awful would that have been if they had not gotten the response they did, and we get this beautiful first part and then we don't get a second? What a weird gamble, but Hollywood, I guess. Speaking of Hollywood, but maybe not so much of a gamble, maybe a little bit. No Time to Die, the final Daniel Craig James Bond film. And I've been so looking forward to this movie. And wow, that was a great finale. There are problems I have with the film, but totally unexpected way to end that movie, considering that James Bond will continue. And that's all I'll say about the ending. But wow, that was quite interesting. And Daniel Craig is just really phenomenal in that role. And now I want to go back and watch all of his films again. So anyway, my wife and I also watched over the Christmas holidays. We also watched when we were alone, because we didn't have Madison over Christmas, because, custody back and forth, that kind of a thing. We get her next year for Christmas. Anyway, so Klaus on Netflix, which was an animated movie that came out the year before, I believe, and we just never watched it. Maybe it was 2 years ago. That was a delightful surprise. it basically tells the origin story of Santa Claus. But if you're paying attention, it has a lot of connections to previous Christmas specials for children, such as Santa Claus is Coming to Town, probably some other ones that I'm forgetting. But as I was watching, I'm like, oh, I see where they get that. Oh, I see what they're homaging there. Oh, that's neat, that connection. So I really enjoyed it. It was emotional. It was lots of fun, lots of comedy going on. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. So if you haven't seen that, next holiday season, I highly encourage you to watch that. Also, another Christmas related film that came out the year before. When on Christmas Day, my wife and I went down to my father's house to have Christmas dinner with him. And before I started making dinner, we sat down and started watching the movie Last Christmas with oh boy, I'm forgetting her name. She is the actress who plays Daenerys Targaryen on Game of Thrones. Anyway, I think that was the first movie that I had seen her in since Game of Thrones. Anyway, that was a delightful surprise as well, because they play it up as a romantic comedy set at Christmas time. And it is not that, which is, I don't know why they... I do know why. I do know why Hollywood played it up that way, because it would be really difficult for them to sell the movie that it really was. But what that movie really was a delight. Surprising, again, emotional. I see a theme here for my movie watching, or at least my movie watching reaction to these films. But it's a journey of discovery for this young woman in this film, wonderfully portrayed by her. Boy, I'm really bad with names, but the actress who is currently on Star Trek Discovery, she plays Georgiou. I should know this actress' name. She's world famous. Anyway, she's in the film too, and she's just great. She's snarky and sarcastic and funny, and their relationship is really good. And then there's the lead actor in it. Anyway, he's been in a few films that I've seen recently, and he's wonderful in it. He plays a lesser role in this movie than I expected, based again on the trailer. But still, it was wonderfully done. Great story. You should watch it. And then we had dinner, and then after dinner we watched was this on Amazon? I forget now. Being the Ricardos, which is a movie about Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball, and their relationship, generally speaking, but also about a particular week in their life when it came out that Lucille Ball was a communist. She actually had signed a piece of paper declaring that she was a member of the Communist Party. I believe that was the gist of it, and how they dealt with it, and again, like I said, their relationship. Javier Bardem playing Desi Arnaz is just he was wonderful, and it was Nicole Kidman playing Lucy. And my wife told me that she had read that she basically said, "I can't do this." Told the director, "I can't do this. I'm not right for this role." And the director had to talk her down from that, and they continued on. And she did a wonderful job. I could totally see her transforming into Lucy at times. Like, it's just like looking at Lucille Ball, in this movie. So that was good. But Javier Bardem was just phenomenal. So that was quite entertaining. Let's see. And then on the small screen, I've been trying to watch more Star Trek. I've watched the first 9 episodes of Lower Decks and the first couple episodes of Discovery Season 3. And so, which I'm quite enjoying, both of those, especially Lower Decks. I really should talk about these in more detail on the Center Seat podcast. So I will do that eventually. But yeah, I'm enjoying it now. I haven't watched Star Trek Prodigy yet, which is out as well. I'm so behind. Lower Decks is in season 2. I know Discovery's in season 4. So, whatever. I just don't have time to do all this stuff, guys. I also did discover the short-lived TV show Almost Human, starring Carl Urban and another actor whose name I don't remember, but he is really good in this role. But this was a Fox TV show about a cop, Carl Urban as a police officer in the near future, and his partner is an android, and what they go through. I really wanted to just watch it because of Carl Urban, but I watched that first episode, and it's so tropey. It's so police procedural, TV police procedurally tropey. And I just don't, after watching cop shows for, a good 30 years of my life, I don't really care to watch the same kind of plot play out, even if it is in a future setting, even if it is played by Carl Urban. So, I watched the first episode and half of the second, and I'm like, I just don't have time to waste on something that is so What is regrettable about that is that they are setting up an interesting world with the androids and the future tech, and that's just kind of an excuse for the plots, not what I would like to get out of it, which is more, I guess, tie it in more to that future world and what that means, and how do people navigate that? It's just I want to see more of the world building and less of the we gotta do a Vice story, or we gotta do this kind of a cop story. Anyway, I just So anyway, I did watch the first as of yesterday. I watched the first 3 episodes of the Marvel series What If, and that was entertaining. What I find very fascinating about this is less about the stories themselves, which are fun. I really enjoyed that first one, seeing Carter be the Captain America character instead of Steve. But what like I said, what's really interesting about this is that they got a lot of the principal actors to come and do the voices for their characters in this animated series. Not all of them, of course, but I was surprised to see how many, considering in some cases how little those actors actually speak, how little dialogue they actually have in the particular episode. So, I guess Disney has a lot of pull. Speaking of Marvel, we also finished watching the entire first season of Loki. And I have to say, I was really loving that series up until the finale, because it doesn't quite end. There's not a real, I would say season ending. It just kind of ends, and like, okay, we'll come back for season 2. It's like, well, that's not really a good ending. It's not like a cliffhanger, or it just kind of ended at the end of the episode. And it was just so weirdly constructed that I was like, what? But I'll come back for season 2, because I really like, again, I don't remember the actor's name, the guy who plays Loki. I love that character. He's probably my favorite character out of all of the Marvel movies. So anyway, and then of course we have watched the first episode of Hawkeye, and that was really good. More so for the young actress who plays Kate Bishop. She really inhabits that character really well, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of her, and then how the relationship between her and Clint evolve throughout the series. But the trailers I've seen, it looks like a really fun and exciting TV show. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I will end on this. Only Murders in the Building. I believe that's on Netflix. No, Amazon? No, I don't know. Go look it up. What fun. What a fun show. We watched that first episode and I was like 30 minutes in and I'm like, this is great. This is my new favorite show. And we could not get to the episodes fast enough to get through the series. I will say though, the ending, again, they didn't quite stick the landing for me as far as the ending goes, but I was willing to forgive that because seeing Steve Martin, the other guy, whom I'm not the biggest fan of that comedian, not Dana Carvey, the other guy. God, I can't do names. I'm sorry, guys. And then and then the young actress who is the other lead in this. She was really good. To play in scenes opposite these two veteran comedian / actors, she is doing a wonderful job. And so, that was really good. I don't know that they should do a second season, but man, I'm really looking forward to it. Because it was such a perfect set of things. It's like, in comic book terms, it's like, if they had just cut it off at issue 6 instead of going on, it'd be a nice little perfect miniseries. But then, they keep going. So, you get diminishing returns on these series. But we'll see how it goes. Cause, that was a lot of fun. Boy, if you haven't watched that, I highly encourage you to do so. And then speaking of comic books, got some podcasts here to talk about. Yeah, most of them are comic book related. The first one is Comic Book Couple Counseling. Say that 5 times fast. I don't remember which podcast I was listening to. It's one of the comic book related ones, but they had the couple that hosts the Comic Book Couple Counseling podcast on, and they were talking about their show and whatnot, and that the way that they speak with each other and about the subject matter just made me really interested in listening to their show. And so I did. And this is a married couple, and the premise of their podcast is that they take a look at various relationships in comic books. So, for example, I listened to the one about Reed Richards and Sue, and in particular, I think around the time of Civil War. And so they had a few episodes about the Reed-Sue relationship, but they examined that relationship through the lens of a particular couple's book. I don't remember exactly which one it was that they were looking at, but there's all those couples counseling type books that you can easily go on Amazon and look at to see how many different things there are. But anyway, they read these books, these counseling books, and then apply those concepts or ideas or advice to those comic book couples. And it's just a fascinating way to approach those characters and their relationships. And especially over time, like Reed and Sue, they also have done Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle, which I've listened to one of those. And then next up, I'm going to listen to some of the Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon episodes. So how those relationships are during specific time periods in publishing history of those characters. So yeah, I love it. Like I said, I love the relationship between the hosts, the repartee. I love it. They're great. Go listen to Comic Book Couple Counseling, and you will see what I'm talking about. Let's see what else. So history of the Marvel Universe on the Resurrections and Adam Warlock and Thanos podcast. So what they're doing on the history of the Marvel U is they took the book that I just got the trade for not too long ago, the history of the Marvel Universe. So it was a miniseries that came out last year. The host invited Peter Rios on there, and so I of course I had to listen to that. And so so far they've only released the one episode for the first issue, and so I'm just going to read along with them and see where this takes me. And I found out a lot of stuff that I didn't know about the Marvel Universe history. Also, Peter had mentioned something about, I think it was called Marvel Saga. And so that led me to go buy that collection as well. So I'll have to go read that. So not doing any favors to my pocketbook, but it's fun to get through the Marvel history in this way. So, speaking of Peter, he has been doing or will be doing, I think he's only released one, but I know he's going to be doing a series of these. But George Pérez spotlight panels with various people on the Daily Rios, and so I listened to that first one. It's like, wow, I wish I could have been just a fly on the wall, just an observer of that first episode, because they were showing, I know each other on the Zoom call, the artwork that each of them or various members of that panel had while they were talking about their experience with George Pérez, if they met him, showing off the art, what George Pérez meant to them. Now, I did my own version of that, which was episode, I believe, 205. Nope, that was 206. Sorry about that. That came out in late December. Anyway, so pay attention to those when Peter drops those, and those have been a lot of fun. Not to mention just seeing everybody on social media post art and original art and covers and interiors from the comic books that George Pérez has published or has had published. So that's a lot of fun. So enjoy those if you will, and then I'll end on a couple. Well, I guess sort of Star Trek related. Anyway, one is a newish podcast that I've been listening to, Enterprise Incidents, where two hosts get together and they talk about each episode of the original series, but they're doing it in production order, not air date order, which is different. Which, unfortunately, that was my plan. I was going to start doing that on Center Seat. So, that's what happens when you wait too long. Somebody else comes along and steals your idea. But anyway, regardless, I could not be doing as an in-depth job as these two individuals on this. So it's been fun to re-engage, pardon the pun, with Star Trek in this way with these hosts. So that, if you're a Star Trek fan, I encourage you to go listen to that. Star Trek, the original series fan, for sure, you should go listen to Enterprise Incidents. And then finally, one of my favorite podcasts of all time, the Inglorious Treksperts. Every year they do this countdown, and it's like notoriously long, but I think they ended last year and began this year with their groupings, their episodes, covering the top 101 sci-fi movies of all time. And as of this recording, they had just released the next to last episode of that top 101. A lot of their favorite sci-fi movies of all time are some of my favorite sci-fi movies as well. Things that I have not watched since I was a preteen. And so it makes me want to go back and watch some of those old movies again. Plus, there's a few movies that, I was not aware of or vaguely aware of and didn't know much about. And now they're on my list to watch eventually. So that's one of the nice things about these kind of episodes that they do, is that I get exposed to some movies that are new to me, even still after all this time. So anyway, if you're interested in that, in science fiction movies and some hosts that love to talk about movies and television, well, I guess no television in this, but generally speaking, Inglorious Treksperts, they inevitably bring in television. So in fact, in this last episode, they talked about the Lost in Space series that I think is on Netflix. Anyway, how good that is. So I need to watch that as well. And that is all. That is all I'm going to talk about this time on the Gutters. So, considering how 2021 ended so crappily for me, boy, am I looking forward to a new year. And I know my family is as well. So I hope yours is too. I hope you're having a good 2022 so far. And I hope the rest of the year is great for you as well. And with that, I will leave you. Thank you for putting up with me. And I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.